So,
There we go.
Kim, I think whenever you're ready to introduce Lauren, but once again, thank you everybody for joining us today. We're so pleased as Owens Community College faculty that we were able to host this. I see many names of folks I know from along the way, and it's just really awesome to have so many early childhood professionals from Northwest Ohio and beyond to enjoy what Lauren has to share. So Kim, if you'll do the formal introductions and we'll get started.
Well, hello, everybody. Lauren and I did touch base yesterday, and she actually is comfortable just talking about herself and sharing her experiences, introducing herself. She's a very well-intent trainer, has a lot of experience. So we're all excited to hear what you have to say today, Lauren. Thank you so much for joining our forum.
Thank you. So full disclosure, I was going to have something all, like typed up and have the introduction, and then like time got away from me yesterday. So I was like, I'm comfortable just talking about myself. I can do that. My name is Lauren. I work for A Renewed Mind Behavioral Health. I am the senior consultant of our early childhood and mental health services department. A little bit about me. I have been working with tiny humans for about 4 years now, a little over 4 years with this agency in a variety of different capacities and roles. One of those, and how I first started out here, was doing a therapeutic preschool classroom for kids at risk of, or for preschoolers at risk of expulsion. So 10 tiny ticked off toddlers. And it was rough. Let me tell you, that is the focal point for anything I have going on in my life that's hard. Like that is my, like, if I can make it through 3 hours with 10 ticked off toddlers who are just going at each other or coming at me, I can do anything. So, so I say that because I want to let you know that I do have that experience being in that kind of teacher role because I had to be teacher and therapist at the same time. And I can't do it. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I can't do it. I'm so glad y'all can do it, because I mean, like, I can do it as far as like, I can teach you things. I can't be responsible for people's kids all day like that. That's just, my anxiety couldn't take it. My heart couldn't take it. But I'm so glad and thankful for you guys. So let's, and with doing this work, I have had a ton of experience in having to get to know people's parents and kids' parents, whether it was in that capacity or whether it's being their therapist. So yeah, it is, it's hard. It's hard. Luckily, I can hopefully shed a little bit of light on what that means today, and maybe from here out on your guys' adventure and journey, you can have something that to take away and use in your own life. I am definitely going to drink coffee while we do this, so sorry. But okay, so let's see here. Share. Cool. All right. All right, so we talked about me already. Oh, and just so everybody knows, just as a precursor, spelling doesn't count where I come from. So if you notice any of the spelling mistakes or double words or whatever, that's just normal here. We just take it and roll with it. And yeah, so let's get started. All right, our objectives. We're going to understand how good rapport with parents enhances our overall student outcomes, and learn at least 4 rapport building principles to increase parent engagement. Hopefully you come out with quadruple that, but my objective is for you to at least have 4. Okay, so picture this. I'm going to paint you a story. I don't know if you guys watch Golden Girls, but when I was doing up this slide, I was thinking of like Ma, it was like Sicily, 1978 or whatever she would say. So picture this. It's the first day of a new school year. You are new to the school and you have been working really hard these past couple weeks getting your classroom set up, and it looks phenomenal. I mean, it looks on point. You have spent hours and hours looking on Pinterest and Teachers Pay Teachers and Facebook groups and getting as many ideas for this year as you can, because you are in it. You are motivated and you have got the drive to just make this everything it can be. So it's the very first day, and you can't really tell if it's all the excitement or your fourth cup of coffee that has got you feeling like this energy is going to burst out of your veins. But you are waiting near the front door of the class, and you are eager to introduce yourself to each and every parent and student individually so that you can make that first impression that is going to set you up for success for the rest of the year. And then this happens. It's nearly time to start. It appears you have almost all of your students present, but you hear this commotion on the outside coming down the hall. And soon in walks this mother and her 4 children. And within 2.5 seconds of her walking through the door, you are certain, without a shadow of a doubt, that this lady has either fed her children Mountain Dew and Pixie Sticks on their way over here for breakfast, or they got lost on their way to the circus tent and are going to be late for a dress rehearsal because they are out of control and they are everywhere. So this mother, who pauses her rather loud phone conversation, mind you, just long enough to tell you that her name is Miss Parker, and she is here dropping off her son Raymond. And meanwhile, Raymond has already started picking on other students sitting on the rug, and Raymond's 3 younger siblings have been running around your room, knocking stuff off the shelf, mixing Play-Doh even, and they are ruining your perfect classroom. So you try to talk to Miss Parker like you did everyone else, because you are going to nail this. You want to have a good connection with every one of your parents this year. And, you know, she barely stops talking to the person on the phone long enough to tell her child goodbye and call for her other children to come with her. And you turn around and all of a sudden your perfect Pinterest classroom looks like this. And obviously this isn't a personal picture, but I will tell you, when I was doing my therapeutic classroom, this would be a good day. Like, this is a good day if this is all we had to do. Okay. So later on, it has been a rough morning. Raymond hasn't listened to hardly at all anything. He has been mean to other kids. He talks back. He refuses to follow directions and is an overall distraction to the rest of the students and their learning. It took him what felt like forever to finally settle down and fall asleep on his cot. And you are thinking, I have got to call Miss Parker. Like, something is up with this kid. There has to be a magic word. There has to be something that I'm supposed to know about this child to make it not this hard. I have to call her. Maybe that there's something that they do at home that can be helpful. And you call her, but you know, the call gets sent to voicemail before ringing all the way through. And we all know what that means. Like, look, I can tell when you send my call to voicemail because it didn't ring enough times. Okay, you're screening me. So you wait until right before, a little bit before nap time is done. You call her again, Nothing. And it is a rough rest of the afternoon too, with more of the same. And to make matters all the more worse, Ray ends up being the last kid picked up that day. So his mother, and again, his 3 younger siblings come in, and they once again are running around your perfect Pinterest classroom. And mom is texting on her phone, not really acknowledging Ray, who was so excited to see her. And thank God that you're here, Mom, because I thought I was going to have to stay the night here. He is so excited to see her and wants to tell her about all of his first day, and she's barely acknowledging him. She's got her face in her phone. You try and talk to her, maybe you can catch her for a few minutes and talk about all, these questions that you wanted to ask at lunchtime. And, she kind of just gives you half of her attention, doesn't really respond much. And then her phone rings and, she tells her kids, come on, we gotta get going. Let's get going. Come on, let's go. And she leaves. And you have no answers still. And you got to do this all again tomorrow. So here's what we know. It's going to be a long school year. Miss Parker has her hands full with her Pixie Sticks Mountain Dew, late for the dress rehearsal at the circus children. You have to get some new Play-Doh because now it's all ruined. I know that that's not supposed to be a thing, but that's a thing for me. Don't mix the Play-Doh. One color at a time, please. And you will likely be going to bed early tonight after you stay late and put everything back together. But here's what you don't know. How did Miss Parker and her 4 children get there that day? What we don't know is that Miss Parker had to get her and her children up early this morning and take 2 buses across town to get to that center because there was a spot for him available there. What you don't know is that Miss Parker and her children just got into their own apartment because they were living at the YWCA in the battered women's shelter after getting out of a domestic violence relationship that they had been in for some time, whose, her partner was, using drugs. You don't know who she was talking to on the phone that morning. She was actually talking to a friend of hers, trying to get an interview at the place that she works because she is without a job. You don't know what those children have seen and the fact that they have had to witness that domestic violence and living in the shelter and this mom's boyfriend who used drugs. You don't know how mom is actually doing because mom is severely depressed. She has complex trauma and she is just doing the best she can. Truthfully doing the best she can. And you don't know what her past experiences with teachers have been like because Miss Parker was a child that all throughout school, she had a learning disability. She did not get along with her teachers. So her perception of a teacher is you do nothing but harp and holler and you're not supportive. You don't care about me and you don't care about these kids. You care about picking up your paycheck at the end of the week. And when we think about it, when we think about what these families are going through, and we think about need and what a person's need is. And this is, if you're not familiar with this picture, this is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And it says that the basic thing that we need before anything else is our physiological needs. Food, water, sleep, homeostasis, the need for consistency, safety, okay, love and belonging, and all the way really up top that self-actualization, that's where the learning part comes in. So even though Miss Parker was quite rude to you today, both times, and didn't answer her call, and it seems like she was not watching her children and didn't care about what was going on, she actually was really trying to prioritize the needs of her basic human needs and the needs of her family. But we don't get this backstory when we meet these parents. I gotta like pace myself. I gotta make sure I don't like go too quickly through this. You have no idea how much of a thing that is for me that I'm like worried I'll get too fast. So what can we do? What we are trying to achieve to cultivate and enhance a relationship with parents is we need connection. I am a Brené Brown junkie. I look for everything and anything that she has. And I listen to it, I read it, I watch it, everything. So I refer back to her a lot. So you'll hear if you're familiar with her, you'll hear her little tidbits of wisdom woven into the things that I'm saying. So we need connection. And the connection is the energy that exists between people when they feel seen and heard. Oops. There we go. I gotta move this, present this view. Okay. I keep looking at myself and then I get distracted. Okay. So connection is the energy that exists between people when they feel seen, heard, and valued, and when they can give and receive without judgment, and when they derive sustenance and strength from that relationship. As human beings, we are hardwired to connect with others. It is what gives us purpose and meaning to our lives, and without it, there is suffering. We need connection to survive. We need connection with our parents if you care about these kids, you have to care about their parents. There is not one without the other. And for all of you who are going into this field because you're like, I like working with kids. I don't like working with grown-ups. I want to work with kids. Kids are more fun. I have some very unfortunate news that it took me pretty quick to figure out in my field. There is no working with kids without working with grown-ups. There is no working with children without working with their parents, without working with their tribe, whoever it may be, whether that's granny, whether that's their caseworker, whether that's their occupational therapist, or whether that's me who's doing therapy with them. There is no working with kids without working with parents and adults. I'll give you a minute to grieve that. So, what can we do? What we need to do is try to build rapport. And these are the at least 4 principles that you can use to build rapport. The likability, empathy, trust, and acknowledgement. And we're gonna break down what all these mean. But so another thing that I do here is I do parenting classes for people involved with children's services who need that as part of their case plan to get their kids back. So I did this training on this curriculum that we use that's just amazing. It's phenomenal curriculum. But during this training, it's a relationship-based program. So I don't even talk to these people about parenting until way into class. We spend a ton of time just getting to know each other. Tell me who you are. What's your story? Where have you been? Because people don't care what you know until they know that you care. Period. I don't care what you know until I know that you care about me and what I have going on, and to know that I am not interested in this is was my experience. I'm not interested in doing all these, when I was in my classroom. Don't tell me about, oh, use a can statement and not a can't statement. Say walking feet instead of stop walking. Don't talk to me about that. I'm just trying to survive. I'm just trying to not let this place go up in flames today. So we're going to get into how we can show that these parents that we care not just about their kid and how their kids do, but we care about them. And I have to tell you, it's a lot harder to fake caring than it is to just care. So, okay. Likability. This is our ability to, it's finding the common ground between us. Likability is people like people who are like themselves or how they would like to be. People don't like people who are not like themselves or who they want to be. When I do this, when I'm meeting a parent, especially in my parenting groups, because these people are court mandated to be there, nothing says, I'm so happy to see you, like I'm forced to be here. So I have to find common ground with my people. And this is done in even the smallest of ways. Anything from, oh my God, your shoes are so cute. Where did you get those? To that tattoo is really cool. What's it mean? Who's your artist? I'm thinking about getting something done too. I love the watercolor in there. Since we have moved to telehealth and doing everything virtually, crazy hard to build rapport with people that you've never actually physically met in person. So my default was computer issues because I had them and that was a real issue. But I could be like, oh man, you're just at the mercy of these dang machines every single day. And of course it's going to slow down because I need it to work right now. So humor. It is a good day for me when I am working with parents if I can get them to laugh. And don't be afraid to use yourself as a point of laughter. Because there's a good chance that they are thinking in their head what you just said out loud. Just like a minute ago when I was stumbling and stuttering over what I was saying. And I'm like, I can't stop looking at myself because I'm in the corner. You were probably thinking that anyway. And I know I'm thinking that. So yeah, using humor when you can. And kids are funny. I mean, kids will give you all kinds of humor to go off of. Matching and mirroring. Style is important. Style is more important than substance initially. So if you think of somebody with that Fran Drescher type voice and the way that they talk, you tune them out immediately. Like I can't even hear your words because I can't get past the sound that's coming out of your mouth right now. Because words are only 7% of our communication. The way I talk, the style in which I talk, my facial expressions, this all changes depending on the parent that I'm working with, because I want you to feel like we are similar. Because at the base core of it, we are similar. We are all here for connection. Empathy. This is our ability to have perspective in what Miss Parker is going through. There was in doing this work with these parents that I've done and everything, and with my parenting group, I quickly learned that, I would get these referrals for people, and it was crazy. It's crazy some of the things that I see come through about their involvement. And I it changes your perspective when you start hearing about their story and you start hearing where they've come from, because your mindset shifts from what is wrong with you to what's happened to you. Where have you been? What has happened to you in your life? And it was within those first few, it was about halfway through the first time I did this group class that I found this, this quote, there isn't anyone you couldn't learn to love once you've heard their story. And I will tell you, for as wicked as these referrals read, I have loved every single one of those parents that have come through that class. I mean, when you get to know where people have come from, you can't not love theirs. Most of the time you can't not love them. So in true to what I said before, being a Brene Brown junkie, let's see what she has to say about empathy.
What is empathy, and why is it very different than sympathy? Empathy fuels connection. Sympathy drives disconnection. Empathy, it's very interesting. Teresa Wiseman is a nursing scholar who studied professions, very diverse professions where empathy is relevant, and came up with 4 qualities of empathy. Perspective taking, the ability to take the perspective of another person or recognize their perspective as their truth. Staying out of judgment, not easy when you enjoy it as much as most of us do. Recognizing emotion in other people and then communicating that. Empathy is feeling with people. To me, I always think of empathy as this kind of sacred space when someone's kind of in a deep hole and they shout out from the bottom and they say, I'm stuck, it's dark, I'm overwhelmed. And then we look and we say, hey, I'm down. I know what it's like down here, and you're not alone. Sympathy is, ooh, it's bad, no, you want a sandwich? Empathy is a choice, and it's a vulnerable choice, because in order to connect with you, I have to connect with something in myself that knows that feeling. Rarely, if ever, does an empathic response begin with at least. And we do it all the time. Because you know what? Someone just shared something with us that's incredibly painful, and we're trying to silver lining it. I don't think that's a verb, but I'm using it as one. We're trying to put the silver lining around it. So I had a miscarriage. Oh, at least you know you can get pregnant. I think my marriage is falling apart. At least you have a marriage. John's getting kicked out of school. At least Sarah is an A student. But one of the things we do sometimes in the face of very difficult conversations is we try to make things better. If I share something with you that's very difficult, I'd rather you say, I don't even know what to say right now. I'm just so glad you told me. Because the truth is, rarely can a response make something better. What makes something better is connection.
So the other part about empathy is recognizing when you don't know what that's like for somebody. First of all, never I know how that feels, because you don't know how that feels for me. You don't know the intensity that is for me. And you don't know how much that's affecting my life. So don't ever tell me you know how that feels. But, you know, I can imagine that this is hard. I can only imagine how hard this is. That is a more empathic response than, oof, I know how that feels. Okay. Trust. Don't assume that just because these people are leaving their children with you for the day, that they automatically trust you. And more often than not, we get people that come to us with distrust. So you have to look for opportunities to get to know more about them, even when it seems like what they're talking about doesn't have anything to do with their kids. But those little things about, you know, if somebody mentions, you know, like, yeah, come on, Ray, we got to get going. You know, we got to go get up to the hospital. Your granny's in the hospital. You know, we got to pick her up, whatever. And then on Monday, hey, how's your mom doing? You know, is everything okay? Following up with things like that to show that you care. Get to know the parent and get to know the kid. My favorite way to build connection with parents right off the bat. And I'll tell you, this is script. So if you want to write this down, feel free. What I say is, tell me what makes your baby the best kid in the world. I mean, I know that all kids are great. Okay. I know all kids are great and everything, but what makes your kid the actual best kid in the world? And the way people's face lights up when they get to brag about their kid, even when it's silly things that they do, their face when they get to talk about their kids and you get to be in that moment with them. I asked this dad this, and he was like, yeah, my 8-year-old, you know, he was doing better in basketball than me. And I was like, I bet you probably started that game feeling like you were in high school and like you were gonna whoop him. And he just came up there and took you to the cleaner. And he's like, I know. He was like, my back hurts and everything. He's like, I didn't even. So finding those moments where you can actually embrace with them and get to know about them. And the other part of trust is the accountability piece. If you say that you're going to do something, then you better follow it up and do it. If you say that, hey, let me look for, you know what, I see that, I think we have some extra backpacks. Let me look and see, and I'll let you know. You better follow up that next time and let them know I either found one or I didn't. Because those are those small moments that trust is built out of. You may be really great at what you do, and you may really know a whole lot about kids and how they learn and everything, but you are not the expert on those children. Those parents are the experts on those children. And we need to learn from them about what life and culture and family is like for them. And because we can't do it alone. That whole, it takes a village to raise a kid, that's true. I mean, we might not be living in grass huts, but we have villages. We all have our own villages when it comes to raising kids, and you're part of that now. And that's a pretty important thing, to be part of somebody's village. And praise is not just for kids. If you are talking to a parent and you're like, hey, we're really struggling with, writing the letter A, and you notice that kid comes back and all of a sudden he's doing it real well, and pointing out to that parent, oh my gosh, Ray, I couldn't believe it. It's like, you must be working with him. I know you're working with him, because the way he is writing this is completely different than it was yesterday. Like, hats off to you, mama, because this is impressive. Communicate. Within the first 2 weeks of starting, I would say 2 to 3, just depending on your class size, would make it a point to reach out to every parent and tell them something positive that their kid has done. Anything, you know what I mean? Like they let a kid go in front of them who was crying, and, or they gave them a toy, and they, something positive about their kid. And do that often. Make a tally sheet for yourself to make sure that you are at least once a month checking in and letting those parents know how amazing that their kid is, or that you are communicating with them in some way. And figuring out the best way to do that, whether that be text, email, phone call, voicemail, snail mail, however they want. And when you do communicate and there are, struggles going on, making sure you have that team mentality by using we terminology. So this is how we can help him. This is how you can help him, or this is what you can do. This is what we can do, because I'm in this with you. I am dedicated to seeing Ray make it through this school year and start kindergarten off the way that he's supposed to. One center that I've worked with does weekly updates. It's kind of like on a pre-filled out thing. So they'll type up what the class is doing that week. So this week is Apple Week and we're doing all these things. Or this is what we've been doing. A positive, they notice, they write down, and there's spots, right, for each individual kid. This is a positive thing that I noticed. And then this is what we're working on. So, hey, we're really working on, them using a fork and a spoon at lunch instead of their hands. And the reason the communication is so important is think about what these kids are hearing, right? If your rapport with this teacher isn't great and she don't like you, Ray's mom don't care for you. What do you think Ray's mom is saying when she leaves that room, either on the phone or to somebody later that night? Because Ray hears that, right? And he's taking his cue from his parent like he's supposed to. And what he's hearing is that we ain't supposed to like you. We ain't supposed to listen to you. And the same goes for at school. If you've got a co-teacher, hold your tongue when the kids are in the room. When Ray is around, and trust me, this sounds simple, people, and I see it all the time. Don't be talking crap about Ray's mama in front of Ray to your co-teacher. Like, text it to each other, whatever you got to do to like deal and cope in the moment, like text it to each other, have Morse code, I don't care. But that's the whole concept of like, I can talk crap about my family, you can't talk crap about my family. You haven't earned that right. So kids are hardwired to want to protect those parents. Again, stay positive, finding the good in each kid, and paying really special attention to the Rays in your class. Okay, if this kid is a kid that is, you have to get on and after all the time, then you want to make sure that you are calling extra and letting his mama know about all the ways that Ray has done, all these things that Ray has done great. Those little things, because I'm telling you, if you are only calling when Ray is doing something bad, she is not answering your calls. I promise you, she ain't answering your calls. And by staying on the positives and everything, you are letting her know that I don't hate your kid. Like, I'm not out to get your kid. I don't want your kid out of my classroom. Like, because that's the message that we get across. When every time I see your name come across my phone, you are telling me some other way that Ray has screwed up the class for that day. So doing a praise sandwich, start with a praise, hey, Ray, I noticed Ray did really, really great today. When he came in, he put his coat right in the cubby, which we both know that is great. That's a huge thing for him. We're still working on keeping our hands to ourselves when we're on the carpet. But you know what? He is doing a whole lot better with raising his hand, or at lunchtime not eating other people's food. Whatever Ray is rocking this week. Have opportunities for your parents to be involved, and ask them how they would like to participate. have an idea for different things that you can do throughout the year, and keep it easy for them. If you've got a parent with a special talent, maybe they know how to play guitar, and that parent wants to come in and, you know, show the kids how to play music, and you want to do like a music thing, you know, capitalize on that. I've been in a center where, you know, one of the kids was Jewish, and they came in and they did this whole lesson on Hanukkah, and they brought little dreidels and fun stuff, and they brought like, I don't know, potato pancakes or something like that. And they made it a big thing, but like, look at this kid. Here's my mom and my granny here. We're going to tell you all about Hanukkah that we do in our house. And y'all get to see what we do. But keep in mind that you're not going to have always the parent that can come in the middle of the day with granny and put on this big presentation about Hanukkah, okay? Recognizing the socioeconomic barriers that these parents have. Ray's mom can't come in the middle of the day, but maybe Ray's mom can help. If you send things home, you know, maybe she can help you cut something out. You know, you're going to be doing something, a project or whatever, and you need like a ton of hearts cut out or something like that, or tissue paper cut up. That might be something that Ray's mom can do to contribute to the classroom, so that she can be involved in what's going on. Connections in the classroom. How am I doing on time? Okay. Connections in the classroom. I absolutely love walking into centers, and at the beginning of the year, they ask the kids to bring in pictures of their family, the grown-ups that you live with. I think that, you know, reminding that, like, well, you know, tell me what your parents do, or tell me what your mommy and daddy does. Well, sometimes we don't always have mommy and daddy at home. That might not be the grown-ups that take care of us. But who takes care of you? Who loves you? Show me some picture, bring me in, you know, a couple pictures of the people in your life that love you. And then they have those up. And that's part of the classroom decor for the year. And, you know, having a student of the week, where maybe, you know, letting Ray's mom know in advance, hey, in a couple weeks, you know, Ray's going to be our student of the week. And this is what this means. And, you know, he gets to be the line leader for the whole week, and we put his picture up, and we want to know about Ray. So, you know, here's some questions if, you know, that you can help fill out if you want to come in, and maybe bring Ray's pet turtle. You know, but letting them know in advance that that's something that you're planning on doing. Because who doesn't like to brag about their kids, right? Who doesn't like to see that their kid is like star student of the week? Oh, I love find and focus on the funnies. This is amazing. I seen this at one center. They had a laugh board, and throughout the year, week, month, whatever, kids say like random funny stuff. Like, this is what I love about tiny people, is that the things that they come out of their mouth is unfiltered and it's hysterical most of the time. So when they would catch a kid say something crazy, like, you know, what was one of the things that I heard a kid say, like, oh, I needed to let me juice up so that I can stand up and go to lunch. Juice up power or something like that. Like, they thought it was hysterical. They wrote it down, okay? They stuck it up, and, you know, like, they put like quotes behind it, and, you know, dash Ray, and put it up on the board. And then, you know, put a sticky note in Ray's cubby to say, hey, check the laugh board. But it's something that, like, all the parents, that it was easy to see when they walked in. You know, parents could like look at it and see what's new up there this week, who has said what, and because these parents know that their kids say crazy off the wall stuff too. So hearing, and maybe that's something that, you know, this crazy off the wall thing that they heard is something that y'all say in your family all the time. So it's like, oh my God, I can't believe they hear me say that. But the other thing is welcoming the other supports, the other people in the village should be welcome in your classroom too, because there's nothing harder than trying to get your kid help and getting pushback from other villagers. So if that means, if it's speech and OT, if they're trying to come in and work with Ray, if it's somebody, you know, if it's a therapist, you know, if it's somebody like me who's like, hey, I'm really trying to work on Ray's social emotional development. You know, Miss Parker she don't get home with Ray until 7 o'clock. Can I come in during the school day and work with him, because this is the most opportune time. But being open and accommodating, that doesn't mean that you have to like let people show up unannounced and everybody in the classroom at one time, right? Because I've had centers that have like, hey, look, I don't mind that you come. Tuesdays aren't good because we have somebody else's people from Head Start in here, and then we've got our student teachers in here, you know, but coordinating that, right? I want to support Ray, but I can't have all these people in my room at one time because I'm going to lose this class. Okay, recognize when there's an unmet need. Again, like if Ray's clothes are always dirty, maybe, you know, noticing that or finding or figuring out that maybe they don't have access to a washer and dryer. Or maybe it's Thanksgiving's coming up and the holidays are coming up, and maybe they need some resources to, hey, if you go down to this church over here and you just fill out this paperwork here, I fill it out here and I can drop it off for you. And getting them like those grocery bags so that, you know, that's one less thing, right? If that's one less thing that Ray's mom has to worry about, then that's one more thing. That's one step closer to her being engaged in Ray's learning. Suggestions for replacement behavior. So this is a tricky one. This is a slippery slope. When I put that in there, I'm thinking of the parent who's dropping off first time. Kids ever been here and the kids crying and they're like, oh, it's okay. Oh, I know, I'm sorry. Oh, mommy loves you. Okay, let's just stay here for a few more minutes. And that's noticing that and saying, this is so hard. You know, I know it's really hard, and I know that you really, you know, she looks really sad. But this is that drags it out a little bit, and she's picking up that cue from you that you're upset, and now she's getting more upset. So let's come up with a plan, right? Like, let's you and I come up with like a strategy and a routine that we can do. When you see new people come through and touring, you know, with your directors and your admin, you know, be enthusiastic when they walk through. Oh, hi, what's your name, Ray? Oh, Ray, I love your shoes. They got Paw Patrol on them. Ray, tell me, is this your mommy and your brothers and sisters? But being enthusiastic instead of, even when it's rough, I know when it's rough, it's hard to put that yay face on. But remember, if they choose this room, this is your first impression moment right here. Family-friendly events. This is hopefully more of a post-COVID, if we ever have a post-COVID moment. Maybe it's like a movie night, right? Where, I don't know, if there's like a way to, you know, get a TV in and, you know, come in and sit down with some popcorn in the gymnasium, and we're going to put on Happy Feet or a Christmas movie or something like that. Because it's expensive to entertain just anybody out here, let alone children, right? So if you can offer some things to come in and do together, that's cheap and free, people appreciate that. Maybe it's like a Christmas event, like a Santa event, a cookie decorating thing, but finding ways to get the family engaged. That's not always learning focused. That's just fun focused sometimes. Another thing you can do is you can contact me. So one of the things that we do here as part of our grant, centers will call me up and want to host us for a night. We come in after this, around closing time, some like 4 or 5 o'clock-ish, stay for, a couple hours, hour and a half, and we come loaded up with free stuff like whole child matters, or I'm sorry, like those baby girl power kits, or I come with like a whole stack of things of like, here's some bedtime passes and routines, and it's all laminated, and a chore chart and a behavior reward system, and here's 100 different handouts of different things that you might have going on. Parents like this. It's an opportunity to connect with other parents and get that feeling of like, I'm not the only one that's struggling. I'm not the only one that feels like mommy monster every night when I have to put y'all to bed. So when I have to put them to bed, I am not the only one that loses it. We can do this for, just a general overall kid thing. And, I just come in with like just a bunch of stuff, from power struggles to bedtime blues to routines, everything. I've also had centers do where they want a specific content. So like, I had one that was like, hey, can you come in and do a night on like just sensory needs? They had a lot of kids with sensory needs. So I'm not an occupational therapist. So, and I let them know that. I said, but I do know about sensory needs because, a lot of times that comes out as a behavior in kids, and we get called in and, okay, this kid isn't like trying to wreck your day, lady. Like, he just can't sit still because he's 3. Like, so let's get him a wiggle seat, you know what I mean? Or a weighted lap pad. And now all of a sudden he's right on track and where he should be. There's no reason to move him around or anything like that, or call his mama again on the phone because he can't sit still. I am not going to get through all of it, and that's okay, because these last ones were kind of like, oh, this is like my extra time stuff if I need it. So so like the conference calendar, I'm not going to go through all that. I did want to touch base on like the portfolios for kids, for when you do have your parent-teacher conference. You can do this in a couple different ways, save work that you see the kids doing, whether that be you actually physically saving it or taking a picture of it. There is this cool app called CAM Scanner, CAMSCANNER. You can take a picture of something and right from your phone, and it turns it into a PDF for you. I use that all the time. And you can either store this like physically in like a manila folder, or, use Google Drive and upload it and have, each kid has their own folder on Google Drive. And this is where you store their stuff. And maybe in that folder is also where you store their, your contact log with them and your anecdotals, or those kinds of things. Okay, looking at time. I'm gonna stop here. And are there any questions over anything that we've gone over? Even if it's not a question, even if it's something that like came to your mind as I was talking and you're like, oh, I really resonated with that, because that would make me feel good, like as a trainer, if I made you think that. So yeah, you guys are they able to unmute themselves?
Yes.
All right, so if you guys want to unmute yourselves, yes. Wendy, I love Google Voice. When I was working in the community more and I would have to go from, drive from house to house, I would be like talking my notes into just a Google Drive as I was going, like clinician met with client for 30 minutes, period. And like it would type it all up for me and then I'd copy and paste it later. Anything else anybody can think of, or any other questions?
Hi, Lauren. I just wanted to make a comment. So I just wanted to share with you that your quote at the beginning, no one cares how much you know until they know how much you care, warms my heart because that's what I live by. So I was so happy to see someone else embrace that quote. It's how I do my job each day, working with clients or supervising other home visitors. And even in my personal life, I try to keep that in the forefront. So thank you
Absolutely.
for sharing that quote.
You have to hold on to things like that because I'll tell you, we don't do this for the fame and fortune. I thought I was doing this for the fame and fortune, and then apparently that's not how this works. So I have to like what I do. We have to like what we do because there's no other reason to get into doing this if you like
Absolutely.
it. Because we all know we don't get paid enough and we don't get enough credit.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, if there's no other questions, then I am going to ask something of you guys. I did mention that we have a grant, that allows us to do things like this completely free. We offer other kinds of training opportunities that are completely free for teachers, but the only way that we are able to do that is through our grant. And in order to continue to receive funding for that, I need outcomes and reports back through. So I just put a link in the chat. If y'all would do me the biggest, hugest favor, so I can put this into my grant site and go to that link and follow those questions and fill out that form for me, I would tremendously appreciate that.
Okay, I'm not seeing that in the chat yet.
Oh, it was everyone. Sorry, I think I sent it to like one person. There we go.
Got it.
Awesome. Dang. Y'all have no idea. I was like, I'm not gonna have enough time. I'm gonna have like way too much time left over.
Well, Lauren, I want to thank you so much for joining us and offering the opportunity, for us to hear your information. I really thought you had a lot of good, helpful tips and resources and great quotes. I loved all the quotes as well.
Thank you.
And I like your down to earth, perspective on how to talk with parents and getting down to their level, I think, or up to their level, wherever they're at, I think is a very helpful tip as well, to just be yourself. I like that. So I really appreciate the time that you spent with us today.
Thank you so much. You guys, I am so grateful for those that have put this together. It has been, I've been partially part of the planning process. I have been able, but it has been a long work in progress, and I'm so happy just to see all this come together for you guys. I hope that you got some good information out of this. I hope that the rest of your day provides you with that same kind of opportunity. Yeah. So I have nothing else. Let me see, we got 2 minutes till, so we can
Okay, Lauren?
Yes.
Angel Bailey, and I just wanted to tell you that was an excellent presentation. Excellent.
Thank you.
I've taught across the spectrum from intervention all the way up from K to 12 and even to college, but I also look at, just looking at that classroom, I was laughing so hard because I said, somebody's going to come in here and tear that joint up. And it was just so funny. When I think about the parents who come in, one of my favorite things that you said is, and somebody has already reiterated, is that people don't care what you know until they know that you care about them. And so to be able to engage and put yourself, take off the assumptions and the assumptions of what raised mama is, and try to figure it out. It's a lot of things that we're not going to know, but there's a lot of things that we shouldn't be assuming either.
Right. Ray's mama did not wake up today
Right.
to, you know what I mean?
That's
To
right. She didn't come in that
your day.
classroom
Right.
to whether she took one bus or walked down the street, it doesn't matter, or two buses. She got there. And
Yeah.
so that's, my biggest thing. And I in my circle with children is just simply that, don't ever let anybody tell you that your mother doesn't care about you. She does. She cares about you to the level that she can.
That's right.
Moment.
When I used to work with teenagers and like, oh my God, my mom's on my case. I'm like, nobody puts this much energy into something they don't care about.
Right.
Right?
Absolutely.
If your
Absolutely.
mom just let you go and run the streets, like,
That's
I would
right.
be concerned. You might think it's cool. That's a big red flag.
That's right. And even as, although I'm not in, right now, I'm working as a health advocate, and I am working with children who are 0 to 1 years old, and then there are siblings in the home. That classroom, the mess of the classroom is sometimes what we can walk into in a home, right?
Absolutely.
The question does not become, oh my God, why would you let your children do this? The question becomes, how do we work together as a team to try to fix or help you to fix what's going on in your house without saying that?
Yeah.
Without necessarily saying that, but just encouragement and say, hey, you know what? I got some boxes, and I use boxes for all my kids' shoes. You know what? I got some extra ones. You want some? Now,
Yeah.
you need some boxes.
That's
Stop telling them
exactly
what they
it.
need, and just keep on encouraging them and caring about them, and then watch them grow from there. It works with children, and it certainly works with adults as well.
Even if it's something like, you notice that every time Ray and his siblings come in, they're like wearing the same thing and it's dirty. And maybe you run to Goodwill or something and get some clothes in various sizes. And you're like, hey, you know what? I know somebody that was getting rid of, do you know anybody that can use this stuff? I totally forgot about it. I know that you're the last person here, but do you know anybody that can use it? Yeah. You know what I mean? You don't have to be like, oh, I'm here. I know that you need my help. No, just if you need it.
Right.
Here.
It's not about you.
Right.
And, you have to take the onus of it being, and sometimes, we like to put our cape on and say, oh my God, this is my chance to help. And that is awesome. I'm not saying that that's not an awesome thing. And that's where we really should be, right? In the place of giving, in the place of wanting to help people. But it's how we go about it that becomes non-offensive to the person in need. So,
right. Because when you've got nothing,
because I can talk about this all day.
You've got nothing.
So thank you so much for that.
Pride is the only thing that you have to hold on to. When you come from poverty, sometimes pride is all you got to your name today.
That's right. Absolutely. So thank you so much. I thought
you guys are so welcome. Thanks so much, everybody.